What's up, everybody? Welcome into the week one schedule predictions. I got a special guest with me today. We got Tyler in here.
Yes, sir. What's up, guys? What's up?
So basically, we're going to look through the six matchups this week. We're going to give our thoughts on each one of them. And we're going to keep track of our record throughout the season as well. And I hope you guys enjoy. So let's get right into it. And
Yes,
with
perfect.
our first matchup, we're going to have Scott versus Ant, which this is going to be a good matchup, in my opinion. This is going to be a really,
Yeah,
really good matchup.
these are two good teams, I think. I know you had a Scott a little lower on the preseason rankings than me, but I think these are two good teams, especially to start off the season. It's a really good matchup.
I think Scott getting Tony Pollard and having Taji out week one is going to be huge for him. Pollard's looking like a workhorse back these first couple of weeks. K9 obviously is looking healthy right now. You want to always have K9 healthy. That's a big concern with him. And when I'm looking at Ant's team, though, I'm seeing Jerome Ford. Obviously, the Judkins issue right now. I don't know how much Samson's going to play. Obviously, Samson is going to have a role, though. He has been taking reps with the first team offense. But I am looking at Jerome Ford down there as a potential RB1 that Ant snagged late. What are you looking at, though, when you look at this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. Obviously, Jerome Ford, he could be somebody that comes out and has a big start to the season. ESPN really likes him, giving him a heavy
Yeah, heavy
18 point
prediction.
projection.
That's
So we'll
heavy.
see. We'll see about that. I don't know about that,
Yeah.
but I do agree with you with the Pollard as well, that he's going to have a workhorse type of role. But the matchup against Denver, we'll see.
Yeah, it
That's a
is a hard
that's a
matchup.
tough
It's a
defense,
hard matchup.
obviously.
So
Definitely. I like
I'm
that. I also
right now when I'm looking at this though, I think Ant has a clear QB advantage over Scott week one. Ant's gonna be having Burrow versus the Browns. Then he's gonna have Goff versus Green Bay. And Mike has been banged up a little bit. I don't know if you read anything about that. He's probably gonna have to get a shot in his back to even play week one. So he's not gonna be out there healthy. Obviously, Lions are obviously gonna have a new offensive coordinator. Don't know how that's gonna work. But when I look at what Scott's playing, he's got Jalen Hurts versus Dallas, and obviously Dallas just traded Micah Parsons, but they did add Kenny Clark, who's a very good player in his own right. And Justin Fields is going to be playing Pittsburgh. And if there's anybody that knows Justin Fields' play style off the top of their head right now, it's the Steelers.
yeah, that's a big one, I think. Fields, I think he's going to have a really good season for fantasy. This is the worst possible matchup for week
Yeah,
one for
this is
Justin
this is
Fields. Getting the
terrible.
Steelers, I mean, I really am hoping as a Steelers fan that we force at least one turnover on this guy to start the
I
season.
feel like you have
I
to.
definitely,
I feel like it's
yeah, I
bound.
don't like the matchup for him at all. For Fields week one, that is definitely a tough one. I mean, going up against, like, if you want to put it against Goff, I mean, I still think Fields is going to run the ball and maybe he can get put together some fantasy points, but
I do
I
feel
definitely
like,
think it's going to be tough for the Jets to
yeah,
score.
I do agree there. I think that's going to be a very low scoring game, which also leads into Garrett Wilson. I don't know if Garrett
Yeah.
Wilson has a good game versus Jalen Ramsey too. Like obviously Terry's playing week one, so you got to bring Debo's value down a little bit. But I do believe that Debo is going to have a role in the run game. I think we're going to see a lot of jet sweeps with Debo. I think that I've seen that in the preseason, so I think that they're going to do that again. Jacoby Myers another question mark right now. What are they going to do with him? Obviously, he demanded a trade. What do you think about that one? Because I don't really know.
Yeah, Jacoby is weird. He's a really weird one. I think if he's playing, he should be their best receiver, at least. I mean, I do think
You
Brock
would think
Bowers is
so.
going to be big time, but I think Brock is obviously going to command all the targets there. But Jacoby Myers still should at least have a safe floor. I do kind of like Myers as a safer guy than somebody like Rashid Shaheed in Soria's lineup. It's
Yeah,
a big boom or
I'm
bust
I'm
guy
not a big
there.
Shaheed guy. I know Ant loves Rashid Shaheed, but I really can't bring myself to back this guy up. I mean, he's gonna get you one catch and it's gonna be an 80-yard touchdown, and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh my God, Rashid Shaheed!" But I really
Yeah,
can't.
that's the thing with Soria's team. It's like he always shoots for these upside types of guys in those flex spots, and it can win him the week, but it could also kind of lose him a week.
Exactly.
I think that's what it's going to come down to with like Shaheed and Ford. They honestly could easily outscore guys like Jacoby Myers and Debo Samuel. So I think Soria's flexes will hold through.
Yeah.
He should have a good week
I think
with that.
Chuba's going to have a big week. I
Obviously,
think we're overlooking Chuba Hubbard in that flex spot versus Jacksonville. Jacksonville does not have a good
it's
defense right
great.
now.
That's
I
a
think
great.
there's a chance
That's
that
one of the best
Chuba could
flexes.
potentially put up. Obviously, it's a stretch, but if Garrett doesn't have a good week and Jacoby doesn't have a big role in that offense come week one, there's a chance Chuba could outscore all three of Scott's flexes.
I
Which
don't
is,
honestly hate that take. That's kind of
which
possible.
is
That is kind of
which is a
possible.
crazy thing to say, but it's definitely possible. And obviously, Chuba
Yeah,
has the good
I
matchup
agree
there.
with that.
Obviously, we're not. I mean, Ricky has a bad matchup week one versus Seattle, one of the best secondaries in the league, rebuilding that Legion of Boom. But he's gonna get the ball to him. The ball is gonna be thrown to Ricky Pearsall week one. Reports are saying he's the wide receiver one until Jennings comes back. If Jennings can even overtake Pearsall, I mean, he was a first round pick there.
Yeah, I like Pearsall. I think that was a really good pick by Soria, and I think he's gonna be a safe contributor. He should get a lot of targets throughout this whole season. And then like, Jerry Judy's in his other receiver spot, which I mean, if they're going against the Bengals week one,
Bengals
and the
don't have a
Bengals are
great
scoring a ton of
secondary.
points,
That means,
they're gonna have to sling
yeah,
it. Their defense is
exactly. And
terrible. Yeah,
Judy's the guy
so
there. So I
yeah,
mean,
Judy's
when
he
I
had a ton of big weeks last year.
when I look at this matchup right now, and obviously we haven't really even touched on Bucky and Josh Jacobs, who are they're gonna have good weeks. I mean, Rashad White's banged up. Bucky's gonna get fed week one. AJ Brown's coming out healthy. Nico Collins on Scott's side. So I mean, we're kind of overlooking their two best players there. But when you look at like the cores of their team, and that's what really matters, I think Ant has a real leg up on the matchups week one for Scott. So
Yeah, I think it's gonna come down to for this the Eagles are gonna have to come through for Scott. He's Hurts, AJ Brown, and Goddard. He's
yeah,
starting off on Thursday night,
yeah.
so
So
the first
this
game of
is
the
gonna be
season, it's gonna come
crucial.
down. This is a big one for Scott.
I mean,
And I mean the Cowboys defense.
Cowboys defense locks
I
them
think they'll
up.
let up a lot of points.
Yeah,
I think they'll let up some points. Honestly, this game,
I don't know if it goes
but
in
it's
Dallas's
still asking
favor.
for a lot.
I do think
Oh,
though that AJ Brown and Dallas Goddard will have solid games. I don't know if we're
yeah,
gonna see a lot of rushing upside out of Jalen Hurts this week potentially. I think that's gonna be something that they're gonna really try to limit. And
that's a good
I
point.
think Saquon will obviously get his touches. But I think that it's going to be a more of a passing game, if anything. I mean, I think they're going to try to exploit the fact that their pass rush is weak and their run game is strong. They added an interior defender and they traded away a pass rusher. So it doesn't make sense to kind of game plan to run up the middle and tush push their way to a win. I feel like they're going to sling the
Yeah,
ball, which helps A.J. Brown and Goddard. But one of the big things about taking Jalen Hurts is the tush push touchdowns.
definitely, definitely. I agree with
And
you. I think
obviously, it all falls down to if they land on the
that's
one
big.
yard line. But
Yeah, of course. I mean, if they're on the 1 yard line, it's probably
yeah,
gonna go to the
it's
tush push,
probably going to
what
the
we've seen
tush
in the
push.
past. But it's just such a tough thing to rely on. He's obviously gonna have a ton of touchdowns, but is he gonna have as many as last year? I don't know. It's very hard to
Yeah,
predict, especially on a week-to-week basis. I do like the Eagles to win this game, and that's kind of why I'm like, I don't know if there's gonna be enough volume there for the Eagles types of players to get a
yeah.
lot of fantasy points. But the Cowboys, their whole plan is just going to be to sling it. So maybe they can push back on them. It's either going to be a close game or the Eagles blow them out. There's one or the other.
I think the Cowboys are going to have to sling the ball to keep up in this game because if they try to run the ball, it's not going to work out, especially versus this
Yeah.
defensive line.
Cowboys run game is brutal, and then the
Yeah.
Eagles defense being this good.
All right, we just had some technical difficulties. Sorry for the abrupt cut in the video, but we kind of lost track where we were because of the technical difficulties. So I do remember we were
Yeah,
talking about that Eagles game though. But to
yeah,
kind of
definitely.
just
I
to
think it's
kind
the
of
make or break of that matchup,
yeah,
basically.
I
That's what it's
think
coming down to. It's a
it's
big thing that Scott's team gets a ton of points out of the Eagles. That's really where he has a shot at winning this matchup.
hmm
But I do think Soria has a lot of firepower here in week one.
I think
And if
he's
his flexes come
yeah.
through, he could be looking to take this one.
I think the Chuba Hubbard play is really going to help him out. I think Jerome Ford's going to help him out a lot, and especially having the hands up on the running backs, especially with Pollard playing Denver, even with the Taji injury out. He's going to get a high volume, but I don't know if that high volume is necessarily going to mean a lot of points. But I think that although he might not have the receiver upside, I think that his receivers are going to do enough. His tight end, I think Laporta will do enough with Goff. He's got the stack there, obviously. But I I would personally say I think I'm going to have Anthony winning this matchup.
Yeah, I think I kind of see it as like Scott's receivers will cancel out Soria's running backs,
Yeah,
and then their opposite way, like Scott's
might
running
go to
backs to Anthony's receivers is kind of
Soria's way.
close.
I think I might put that
But
Soria's
then
way.
I think what it's going to come down to me is just that I do kind of think the Jets stack of Fields and Garrett Wilson might honestly have a rough day. And
Yeah,
if you put that on top of Jacoby Myers, we don't know, and Deebo Samuel's first game, which could be good, but I think it's just a safer pick to go with Soria's team in week one here, even though I do really like Scott's team. I think the Jets are a massive part of Scott's team, and I'm
yeah,
not too
and
excited
it's
about
not a
this
good
week one
matchup.
matchup for them. So I
I
think if
think
I had to make a final pick here, I would go with Soria for week one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Soria too, and I think hot take that even if Rashid Shaheed puts up 0 points, I still think Soria could win this week. I think
Yeah,
Shaheed could go for nothing, and
it's
Soria still could
possible.
win.
'Cause what I'm nervous about is like Garrett Wilson putting up 6 points.
Yeah,
I feel like that's
exactly. It's
possible.
definitely possible.
I, f- I feel like that's possible this week, honestly, because the Steelers, they should be able to lock up a guy like that who's their only weapon, really.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's what they are strong at doing. If you're not getting like a 30-point game out of Hurts this week and AJ Brown putting up 20, it's going to be very tough to keep up with the firepower of Soria's team here.
Definitely.
But I think I'll take Soria in week one.
I'm
But I do
definitely
think
gonna
it'll be
take
close,
Soria too.
honestly.
All right, going into our next matchup, we're gonna have Prince versus Alec, and I think this is gonna be a fun matchup to watch happen week one. I think Prince is gonna chirp Alec a lot. Uh, there's
Yeah,
obviously
this
some injury problems going on in this one that we need to talk about. For starters, Isaiah Likely is probably not playing this week, assuming that means Mark Andrews is going to get a majority of those tight end reps, which is usually a good position in that offense.
Yeah, that's big.
Ted
That is big for
McMillan
Alec.
is dealing with a hamstring injury right now, so that definitely is gonna be a little bit of a problem.
If
And
he misses that game, that would be crazy. That would be a big loss for Alec, but I think he should end up playing. He should play. So we'll see what happens in Ted's first game.
I also think that the biggest one of them all is Nick Chubb. Obviously, Nick Chubb is going into week one as the starting running back. And that is pretty crazy for Prince coming into this week already going in with Kyron, McCaffrey, and Saquon.
It's a huge pickup for Prince. Like he drafted Chubb for this early season work, and I
And
think it's big for him. He's
it's
gonna flex
gonna
him.
pay
Like
out.
he needs to play him. Yeah, so
And
I think
he'll
Chubb is
get
big for
Ayuk
him.
back later on in the season too, which assuming Ayuk obviously is gonna have a ramp up period, but I mean having Chubb right now is huge for him. It's absolutely huge, and he's got two tight ends,
Yeah.
two quality tight ends. Obviously, I don't know if you saw the reports. Hawkinson is trying to get JJ McCarthy down to Tennessee to live with him in the off seasons. They've been working out together this whole off season, so
Wow. Yeah.
Hawkinson might be a top option in that offense. Obviously, you saw what McCarthy
Yeah.
did with Loveland in Michigan, so he likes his tight ends. And Tyler Warren is
Yeah. This
all reports are saying he's gonna have a major role in this offense.
Tyler Warren definitely looks strong. He should have a good start to the season because he's going to be playing right out the gate every
Mm-hmm.
down. So it's a big pickup for him. This is actually funny. We didn't even talk about this, but we're talking about the tight ends. I mean, Prince is starting Tyler Warren in the flex, and Alec has
Alex
Njoku in
got
the flex. So it's
yeah,
like a two tight end matchup here,
yeah. This is gonna
and it
be
makes sense.
interesting.
These are some strong tight end plays, especially in week one. I think they
Uh huh.
all look like pretty strong plays.
They all look like they could
Hawkinson,
be
like
top
you
eight tight
said,
ends week one.
on yeah on Monday night. I mean, it's gonna come down to that in the end. If
Yeah.
it's a close matchup, it's coming down to Hawkinson. I think he could definitely be a strong candidate, especially with Addison suspended too to start the year. So that could be a big play. And Tyler Warren should be getting a lot of targets out the gate. But you're against Mark Andrews without Likely, and that should be a high scoring game
Yeah.
against the Bills on Sunday night.
Uh huh.
He has James Cook in that game too, which is big for Alec to have that in that game.
That's gonna be a.
I think it should be a back and forth battle on Sunday
Mhm.
night. But I do think that will be a fun game to
I
watch,
think
and this matchup is going to come down to that.
Alec is also definitely happy that Stafford reportedly playing this Sunday. Gonna be a
That's
huge boost
big.
to
That
Devontae
is big for
Adams.
Adams, definitely.
Gonna be a big boost for
That is,
Adams.
but I guess it helps Prince a little bit with Kyron too. That offense, you need
Yeah,
to
the
have a
whole
strong, like that. They
offense.
need that
Yeah,
whole offense. I
the
mean,
more I look at this matchup, the more I realize how like intertwined and kind of similar these two teams are. You know what I mean?
I
Like
agree with you.
there's a lot
It's
of
very similar
same
builds.
pieces that are affecting both teams right now.
Yeah, it's similar to even like I was talking about last matchup. I feel like Saquon and McCaffrey at running back is absolutely stacked for Prince, and especially week one, both of them fully healthy.
Yeah,
That is huge. That's probably going to be Thomas and Drake London receiving core. I think that's a huge advantage to have that. But then the James Cook to David Montgomery, that's even more impressive probably than the Cortland Sutton, Jameson Williams receiving core. So
yeah.
I think it's like pretty equal if we're going based off of that. But obviously
I think
Daniels to
those
Jordan
four
Love,
are very
that's a
very
big difference.
similar. And I'm looking at the
Yeah,
matchups, and really the only two matchups that stand out to me are Sutton and Brian Thomas, both versing pretty bad teams in there. And
yeah.
obviously Sutton, I'm a Broncos fan. I think that he's gonna have a massive Week 1 game. I think he's gonna probably put up a touchdown. He'll probably put up closer to 20 fantasy points more than he puts up closer to 10. Uh, I'm also
That is
I
big. That would be
think
huge for him.
again, and very similar to the last matchup, though, I think that this one is going to come down to the quarterbacks. And that's why I think having quarterbacks is so crucial in this league, because a lot of the flex plays based off matchups could kind of like even themselves out. I really don't. Right now, the only thing I kind of would lean towards is I would say Prince probably has the upper hand in the flexes, considering he has two starting running backs with a starting tight end, compared to a tight end, Devontae Adams, who's a wide receiver too, and Ted McMillan, who's banged up with a hamstring injury. And when I
Yeah,
look at the
I think
quarterbacks,
that yeah, that's close.
yeah, and when I look at the quarterbacks,
That is pretty close because you have like Tet basically going up against Tyler Warren, I'd say, as his flex spot. And
yeah,
we don't know what's going to happen with Tet to start off the year, his first game. Obviously, it's Tyler Warren's first game too, but that could be closer than we think for week
I
one,
think
especially in
Tyler
tight end
Warren and
premium.
tight end premium might have a better week 1 than Ted McMillan. I think there's a chance
Yeah,
that
I could
happens.
see that. I could
Especially
see that
versus
happening.
Miami. Miami runs a high octane offense. They play fast. Indianapolis is gonna touch the ball a lot.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like putting Adams up against Kyron Williams, you probably have to think that Kyron should score more just getting the ball so often.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is against the Texans, so maybe it ends up being a high-scoring game, which would help out Devontae Adams if they pass the ball a lot.
Yeah,
I think you have to lean towards Kyron in that. And
I
with
would
Chubb
lean.
starting, it's kind of hard to say he's not going to outscore a guy like Njoku,
Yeah, that's what
even
I'm
though
saying.
the
It's hard
projections
not
aren't
to.
looking at that.
And then when I look at the
I
quarterbacks, obviously you can't pass up the fact that Jaden Daniels is going against the New York Giants. He might
yeah,
have a field day versus them. And especially with Love going against Detroit, Purdy going against Seattle on Prince's end, Alec definitely has the upper hand with the quarterbacks. And I'm not even a Bryce Young guy, but that's not to say he might not have a solid game versus Jacksonville. I mean, I like Chuba Hubbard, so I think Bryce Young could have a solid week 1.
yeah, he has a good matchup against Jacksonville with Bryce Young. I
Mm-hmm.
would say normally I'd be nervous about that in his QB2 spot, but I do like the matchup, and it's stacked with Tet, so that's big for him. The Jaden Daniels one, obviously, that's like the key factor for Alec. That's his first
Yeah.
round pick. He needs him to obviously have a massive game. The Giants defense could be a little sneaky in week one. McLaurin came in late to camp. If he doesn't get 30 points out of Daniels,
I
it
don't
might be
know if he
tough for him
wins
to
this
win this
game.
matchup.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it might be tough for him to win this
the
matchup.
Giants, they're hyping up their defense, man. I mean, Sexy Dexy's on that D line. They got Abdul Carter
They have all of
now,
them. Yeah,
Thibodeau,
Duke Carter, they have Brian Burns and Thibodeau.
Daniels.
Like that's a
I
great
can't.
D line.
I think when I look at this matchup, I think I gotta say that I'm gonna assume that Prince wins because I think that Giants defense might be a little harder on Jaden Daniels than we think it comes week one.
Yeah, I think that for week one, with you have Saquon and McCaffrey fully healthy,
Yeah, it's hard
like
to pass up on that.
This is where Prince is gonna have. He needs them to start off hot and accumulate wins
And if
early
there's
on,
any
so he can
week
have some leverage
of
later
these
on.
next four that Chubb is going to be a factor, it's going to be week one. So
Exactly, Nick Chubb. Yeah, I
before
agree with
before
you.
a
So I think
Pierce or a
those
Woody
running backs.
Marks takes over, this is the week to have Nick Chubb. And
Yeah, I think those running backs can have a big,
I
big
think the running
impact on this
backs are going
week.
to
Maybe win him the week.
I think they will win him this week. I think the running backs are huge. I think he's got some
Yeah,
good matchups for
honestly,
his way, so I really do think Prince wins this matchup.
I will say for my prediction as well, I do really like Alex's team, especially season long. But like we're saying,
Definitely.
the reason season long, it's because of the depth. Like he has
Yeah.
Josh Downs on his bench, Javonte Williams, which he might not even have set his lineup yet to start the year.
No,
But that only
exactly.
helps him so much in week one where everybody's healthy. I
But
think Prince's
what
team
I will
might have
say,
more firepower for this
Josh
week.
Downs is hurt right now, so I don't know if he's the right play to start. And if he starts Javante over any of his flexes, I think that's just a downgrade week one.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
if this
Like
is
those guys are on his
this in
bench
my
for a reason to
opinion
start
would
off
be
the year.
his best possible starting lineup that he has placed right now, and I don't think it beats Prince week one.
I think Prince's team is gonna start off hot. When you pick a guy like Saquon and McCaffrey both, that's really what it's gonna come
Yeah,
down to me. I think those guys are gonna put up massive games to start off the season.
it's hard to say
Saquon
he's
on
gonna win
Thursday
the
night.
league,
I
but
think
it's
it'll be
easy to
big.
say he's gonna win week one.
I agree with you. That's where I would lean, honestly. I would pick Prince in week one
Yeah,
because of
so
that.
we're both thinking and Prince are gonna take
Wow,
out
that's
week
very
one.
yeah. So
I
week
think they got some
one,
good
we've had
matchups on
Ant
their
and
end,
Prince so far.
and
That is really interesting because season long too, I actually had Alec and Scott ahead
both
of those two
higher.
teams.
Yeah, I know.
But I do think it's possible for week one. That's just the way it's gonna come out, I
The
think.
cookie crumbles this way.
Yeah.
So moving on to our fourth matchup, we're gonna have Levitz versus Tyler. So obviously Tyler's gonna chime in a little bit here. I'm gonna take a bit of a lead here, but when I look at both of these teams, obviously it's kind of hard to look at Levitz and say he's gonna come out week one when he's starting Cavante Turpin as his third flex currently. Obviously, he could put Kyle Pitts in there or Cam Scatabo, but I really don't know. Ramondre is also the RB2 going into this matchup. I'm not. I think if there's a couple of weeks that Jalen Warren's going to be good, it's going to be these first couple of weeks. Obviously, the Jets' defense is going to be a little rough there, but I think he'll have a good factor in the passing game. They obviously just extended him, so they're going to keep him in a role in this offense. It's not just going to be Caleb Johnson. Brees Hall versus that Pittsburgh defense. Obviously, we glossed over the Jets offense earlier. I really don't think that anyone in the Jets offense is going to be a huge standout week one. I think if there's a couple standouts when I look at Levitz's team, it's going to have to be carried by a huge Baker performance, a huge Jamar performance. Zay Flowers is going to have to score a touchdown versus the Bills and have a solid game. And Brock Bowers is going to have a huge game versus New England. I think Waddle and Pittman are two solid options there, the flex. But when I gloss over to the other side and see Malik Neighbors, DeAndre Swift, I don't see how they can really top that. Obviously, Neighbors has an injury right now, which I don't think is going to dampen him too much going into week one. And DeAndre Swift is obviously going into this matchup with a banged up Roschon and a banged up Monangai. So he should have a major role in this offense week one, especially with the fact that Ben Johnson usually gives out 30 plus touches a game to his running backs. And when I look at Tyler's quarterbacks too, I also see Mahomes as versus the Chargers. I think the Chargers have a solid defense, but I'm not betting against Mahomes in that game. I think the Chiefs are going to win. And we also said it before, I think that Rams-Texans game is going to be a bit high scoring. So I think we're going to see Stroud have a solid game week one. And I don't think that Stroud and Mahomes are going to put up enough that even if I do think that Baker and Caleb have some better matchups, I don't think that they're going to outscore them or outscore them by enough to make up for the lack of what Tyler's dealing with. And obviously, Tyler's starting Hollywood Brown this week and Xavier Worthy and Travis Kelce. And it's going to be a theme throughout his team all season that he's going to have a couple of those guys starting. So I don't know exactly how I feel about that yet. I'm gonna kind of have to see it play out week one. But if I think that there's anybody that's gonna win, I do think it's gonna be Tyler. I don't think that it's gonna be as big of a blowout as people expect because I do think that Levitt's top half of his team is so good with like Chase, Bowers, Baker, even Caleb that I think that they're gonna be able to put up enough points that it'll make up for the Quinshawn issue and the Brian Robinson bullshit. But I think that Tyler's team week one is overall just it's a little more talented right now, and I think that the matchups aren't devastating on his end. I think really the only bad matchup I'm looking at personally is probably Devonta Smith versus Dallas, which we already said is I think that's going to be a passing game if anything. So, and obviously Hampton, Najee might play week one. Najee might not play week one. If he doesn't, they're still doing a split backfield. So Hampton's overall outlook this season might not be as high, but I do think that week one he'll still have a role in this offense. But I do think that Tyler is gonna win this game in my opinion.
Yeah, so looking at my team for this week, I think it's looking pretty good. There is the Chiefs thing with I think it's big that Rashee Rice is out to start the year for my team.
Definitely.
So that's why hopefully Worthy can have a big time week. And Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown, I'm considering him starting him because of that. He's not definitely locked into the lineup, but he is having a chance to start for me week one. But I do think my team will come out hot. And obviously Levitt's matchup, we'll see. I do agree with you that this could be closer than we expect because the upside of Levitt's team is just there. Like when you have Jamar Chase week one, the Bengals are going to look start out hot. They've never started out hot recently, and they played all their guys in the preseason for the whole time because they want to
Mm-hmm.
start off hot this year.
Yep.
I feel like Jamar Chase might have a massive game in week one.
Massive.
I'm nervous about that, especially and then you bring up Baker Mayfield. I think he could have a massive game as well. He has a lot of upside in week one. So
But
I am a
definitely.
little nervous about his team if he somehow scrapes in a
I mean,
great game out of
if Turpin can
Ramondre
grab 10
Stevenson or
points and
Cavonte Turpin
yeah,
to get 10
dude, this will
points.
be a lot
Exactly. Like,
closer.
that's the thing. I do think my team should have a safer floor, but I
I
mean,
don't know if the
Levitt's team
upside is
has
there.
upside. Levitt's team does have upside to scare me a little bit, especially in these types of matchups in week one where it's like he could get a big game out of Zay Flowers in a high scoring affair if it's against the Bills. Like that could be a massive game, which I'm nervous about. I don't want Zay Flowers to have a huge game this week. So I do agree with you that I should be a favorite on this in this matchup, but I don't think it's going to be a runaway
No.
victory here at all. I think it could be a close game.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. So yeah, I'm gonna have Tyler winning this one. And moving into our fourth game, we're gonna have Riley versus Duck. And I think
Yeah,
this
this is
might
a
be one
fun
of the
one.
most interesting matchups in my opinion.
This is a fun one. A
This
lot
might
of
I
chirping
think this
going
might
on too.
be the most interesting matchup of week one. So
It's big. It's
you want to
big.
take
This
the
is
lead on this one? What are your thoughts first?
yeah. I mean, this is the Ducks going for revenge on last season in week
Yes.
one against Riley, who I mean, he has a lot of problems going on in week one with his team, with Rashee Rice suspended, Joe Mixon out. I mean, that's two big pieces that he
Mm-hmm.
has to figure out how to replace for the start of this season. And this is crucial for him because if he can go 3-3 during Rashee's suspension, he might have an amazing season. But if he's looking at 1-5, 0-6, that's where it's becoming brutal. So this is a huge week for him. And I mean, he's putting in to replace them. He's got Keenan Allen, which maybe could be a successful guy in week one against the Chiefs, where it could be a higher scoring type of game. He's relying on his boy Marvin Mims. We'll see. Marvin Mims with the groin too
Yeah.
is questionable, but he'll play. And I
I,
think
I
he's got a chance at some upside there at least.
there's a
But it's gonna
chance.
come. It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a little tough for Riley to win this game. I
I
actually
do think
do.
so. I do think so.
With the Ducks, with Jake having Josh Allen, Chase Brown, Jonathan Taylor to start help his team, I mean that's beautiful.
Did you hear the
And
report
everybody's
that
loving Calvin Ridley this year.
you hear the report that the Bengals are completely reshaping their run offense
I
around
did
Chase
see
Brown?
that. I did see that, which they have to. He's their only
Yeah,
guy in that
he's
backfield.
gonna be a
He's
dog.
gonna get so many touches. He's gonna get so many touches there. I think that Chase Brown and John Taylor both are gonna have big time weeks in week one.
I don't like the Calvin
And
Ridley
then
play though. Actually, He's first in
A
PS2,
lot of
man.
people love Calvin Ridley, but
He's
it's
first
against
in
Denver.
PS2,
That's the
bro. He
thing.
might he
He
might have
might get locked
one
up
catch.
there.
He might have one catch.
That is big for him. If he can have the if Riley can pick up points on Calvin Ridley having a bad day, and then also Travis Hunter, it's his first game. We
It's
don't know.
Henderson's
We
first
don't know what's
game.
gonna
It's
happen.
Matthew Golden's first game.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, that's the thing. It's all these rookies, of course.
yeah, there's a lot of question marks.
Which is crazy to
It's
say that
Cooper
like
Cooper
Riley's
Cup is now
team.
playing as a receiver too in a new offense with Sam Darnold. Who knows if he comes out and plays hot?
Yeah, it's crazy
Who
to say that
like
Riley's team might actually have a little bit of less question marks in week one, even with having to fill
I
in a
know.
bunch of guys.
Yeah. Obviously going into a week one, not only is there Bryce, there's Mixon, but there's Devon Achane, who he's coming in this week banged up. He might re-aggravate an injury. He might not play a full amount of snaps. So I can't, and especially with Pacheco coming off what he looked last year. Obviously, we're gonna have to see him play, come back healthy. He looks like he's gonna be the running back one again. Not really expecting Elijah Mitchell or Kareem Hunt to bring much comp to him as long as he plays good. So I think that's a good pick there. But I mean, especially week one, with again looking at the matchups, I like Chase Brown versus Cleveland and Jonathan Taylor versus Miami. I think that with the running backs, I think Duck has it. I think when you have Josh Allen in your lineup, I think that automatically is going to win you some games. I think he's going to obviously perform better than Bo Nix. As much as I love Bo Nix, it's Josh Allen. And Dak Prescott, I mean, who's to say that he's going to have a great game? But who's also to say that Trevor Lawrence is going to have a good game? Because I don't think Trevor Lawrence is going to have that good of a game. But I don't think it's going to
I
be
think Dak versus
worse
Trevor
enough.
is close.
Yeah, I don't think
That's a
Trevor is going to
close
be.
QB2
Yeah,
matchup.
100%. And I don't think that the difference on either end is going to be enough, in my opinion, to make up for a couple of the other factors in this. Because
Yeah,
I'm going to be honest. I do think that Riley is definitely looking a lot safer week one. I mean, he's coming into this matchup with George Kittle, who might be
that's huge. That is
the
huge.
most productive player in that offense outside of McCaffrey come week one.
That's
They
the thing
Khalil
with the
Shakir
receiving
is
core
going to be
being a whole
solid.
mess there. With the receiving core being a mess there for the 49ers, Kittle in week one fully healthy to start the season, similar to like the McCaffrey Saquon thing we were talking about.
Yeah.
That could be a huge game for George Kittle in week one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such an advantage going against Jake's tight end room, which is Kate Otten,
Kate
who's
Otten.
probably going to be out. He's probably going to be out, I think.
Yeah, I don't think that
So then
there's.
you have to go to like Chig Okonkwo or something to start week one.
I mean,
That is a big swing
Chigo
that Riley could
Conquo,
actually win the week
Chigo
off of.
Conquo in week one will score a touchdown, but it will be his only catch
It,
for
it,
6 yards.
that's the thing. He's going to need something like that out of his tight end spot to even get close to putting up the
Yeah,
production of Kittle, which that's a huge advantage, I think, on Riley's
yeah.
side. So I'd probably go like quarterbacks wise, I'd probably lean to Jake because he has Allen, and I think the quarterback two room will be close enough.
I think the running backs I
Running backs
lean
wise, I'd go with
Jake again,
running backs wise, I'd go with Jake. Yeah, I'd go with Jake again.
but
But the
that's
receiving core
potentially
and tight
where
end,
I only go Jake's team because CD is gonna play well, and Ridley is almost guaranteed to play bad, which is like kind of huge for Riley. And
that is.
as much as Keenan Allen might be a joke of a player come week fucking 14, week one, I mean, he's going to go out there and be
Good week
wide
to have
receiver
him.
too. QJ's not going to play. Trey Harris is not above him on the depth chart. KLS is not above him on the
No.
depth chart. He's going to be the wide receiver too in that offense, and him and Herbert already have a connection. So I do think that Keenan, if anything, has a better chance to outperform Calvin Ridley in week one potentially.
Yeah. I do
And
think Keenan Allen's gonna have a good game, honestly. Like a solid, he just has a solid floor to get 5 catches or 50 yards, whatever. Like
yeah,
he should at least not put up a dud.
I also think where one of my hot takes is going to come in is I don't know if Travion Henderson is going to come in week one as the workhorse back or anything like that. I think there's a
Could be
chance
more of a
that
split.
Eckler has a very similar role to what Travion plays week one. So there's a chance that they can even each other out in those two.
Th- They both should start off with the receiving role in that backfield, and then
Hmm.
Trayvon's obviously more explosive, so you have to expect him
Obviously,
to put up more points.
but
But
I
it's
do think
like
the roles are
it
going to be
might not.
very
It's not.
similar.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think Trayvon's gonna have 20 touches in week one. I agree with you on that.
I don't know how to feel though about the Mims versus Cup when I kind of like look at that, because like I do think Shakir versus Golden is kind of even. Both receivers ones that kind of haven't like. I think they kind of play similar roles in the offense right now. Obviously, Golden has to break out first for me to put him in a tier above, like a Khalil Shakir. But I mean, they're just kind of crowded receiver rooms on both ends with a bunch of mid. I feel,
Yeah,
but
definitely. That's the Mims one is weird, obviously, but the
yeah,
Titans, who knows? Titans is not a great defense. Like I don't. I think he
I
could
think
have
this
like a
is one of
crazy
those
game.
matchups where I think Mims is going to come in week one and he's going to play a decent amount of snaps, and I don't know if he's going to have a lot of catches, but if he I think what we're overlooking though is that Mims is not putting up 0 points because he's the returner, so he's going to get return
That could be
yards,
something. Yeah,
and
something on top of it.
and I think
You need those
if he can
points.
get 2 catches for 40 yards, one deep ball in this game, he's probably outscoring Cooper Cup potentially.
It is nerve-wracking. That's what it is. Because
Yeah,
I
it is
obviously
nerve
would like to
wracking.
lean Jake. I would like to lean Jake's flexes to be better than Riley's, especially with the what is going on
I
with
think I'm
Riley's
gonna
team.
make the
But it's
very
like the upside is
unhappy
there.
pick, and I think I'm gonna say Riley wins week one. I don't think
Yeah,
it looks like a sexy pick on paper, but I think that Riley's team's gonna upset Jake, according to ESPN projections at least. But in my opinion, I don't think it's really an upset. I think you gotta let the rookies
I'm.
play a week and prove themselves.
Yeah, I really want to go with the Ducks, and I think honestly my final pick will be the Ducks, so we'll be split here. But I'm very nervous, especially about that tight end spot being such a big swing that
I think it's a
honestly
massive
could do
swing.
it. Like that swing, the tight end spot swing
I
could
don't think that
potentially
there's
be
a
bigger
bigger
swing than
swing
all the
in
flexes.
anything
It could
else.
be, it
Yeah.
could, like, if Jake's flexes don't outscore Riley's flexes
Mm-hmm.
by a good enough amount,
There's a
it
chance.
might be
There's a
tough for
chance
him to
Kittle
win
puts
it.
up 20, and if Shigo Compo plays, there's a chance Shig puts up 2 points.
That's what I'm saying. That's
An
really
18
nerve-wracking
point
for
swing right
me.
there when the only other real swing you have in your lineup is you're hoping that Josh Allen has a good enough game versus the Ravens compared to Bo Nix versus the Titans. And it's like
Yeah,
Bo Nix is playing trash while Josh Allen is playing a top 3 team in the NFL. So I don't
yeah,
think that the
which
swing
could be
there is
good,
going to
could be
be huge.
bad.
I think
Yeah,
that it's going to
you need to have
be
Josh Allen to have
a
like a crazy
competitive
game
game, but
one.
I don't know if it's the best matchup for him fantasy wise. I think it's going to be a great matchup for me to watch as a fan, though. But for fantasy,
Yeah,
I don't know if Josh Allen is QB1 this week. He might be QB5, but I don't know if he's QB1.
exactly. That makes a ton of sense because he does need the Josh Allen to Bo Nix to be a bigger difference than we were expecting.
And we're really like, and I feel when we look at that, it's also basically like, obviously Duck's gonna have the RB advantage, but how many points more do we expect out of Chase Brown and Jonathan Taylor over A-Chain Pacheco? Like, is that swing so big enough that it makes up for essentially the rest of the lineup, beside for the extra points you get with Josh Allen, Bo Nix? Because I do think I would lean Dak over Trevor.
Yeah, it's close, if Dak is gonna have a great game, that could be stacked with CD on top of it. So that could be a lot of points coming in from the Cowboys who should be
Mm-hmm.
slinging the ball against the Eagles.
Definitely.
I do think Riley has a real shot at this. This is probably the hardest one to pick. I will go with Jake, just because I don't want to give Riley the
The
benefit of the doubt here
satisfaction.
anyway. I think this is gonna be tough
We're
for
gonna be
Riley to
split
win,
here.
honestly.
I think I'm gonna go with Riley though. I do think he has it in him to win this week.
That's completely like I seriously think this can go either way. I don't think the projections should be as far as they look right now.
No, definitely
I think
not.
it's close. I think it's a close matchup. But honestly, the reason why I'm gonna lean to Jake is just because I think his flexes should end up outproducing Riley's. But I do think if that ends up being closer than we expect, then Riley has a real chance to win it. I'm especially looking at that Kittle matchup. That's big for Riley. But
Definitely.
I'll go with Jake. I think Travis Hunter could start off with a big game. Even though people are nervous about him, I think Hunter can have a big game in week one.
Hey, you don't know. We don't know with these rookies. That's my thing. We don't know with them.
Completely agree. You're right. Like, it's a lot of rookies to rely on. And especially in week one, who knows exactly what their roles are. But I do think Jake's, or at least they are locked in to get playing time in week one,
Hmm.
and I think they're talented enough to put up a couple points, at least to put up like 10 points or so each.
Definitely. All right, though. But so we're gonna be split
We'll
here.
split on
So
that.
I
Yeah,
say I say we move on to the next one now. How about you?
definitely. Let's go on to the next one.
And that next one is gonna be Panchez versus Jeremy. And I think this is a weird one right now to kind of predict. I think this might be the weirdest one because I think right now we're also looking at Sanchez's team. We don't know if Jawan's gonna play. If Jawan doesn't play, I don't really see how he could kind of he wins this game. Honestly, if Jawan doesn't play, and even then, I mean, I'm gonna lean into Jawan not playing. From all reports, I'm gonna lean into him not playing. I think Tucker Craft gets to start there because obviously Dobbins and Harvey wouldn't really be too genius. So I
Yeah.
think Tucker Craft gets to start. I like Tucker Craft, but I kind of look at Jeremy's team and I don't see how that's 161 points projected because I see a lot of talent up and down. But the biggest thing is obviously again you see that tight end swing. But I think in a matchup like this, the tight end swing isn't gonna be as massive because I think that Justin Herbert is, albeit it's against Kansas City, I think he's gonna have a better game than JJ McCarthy. And Tua versus Indianapolis versus Sam Darnold versus San Francisco, I kind of see that one playing out very similarly right there. So based off the Herbert, I like to think that Jeremy's gonna have the QB matchup. I think
I
Derrick
was
Henry.
gonna say I agree with you there too. I think Herbert's honestly a little under projected potentially against the Chiefs. I know
Yeah,
the Chiefs defense is great, but hopefully this game is a higher scoring game than we think,
I think it will be. I
and
think
that Herbert could put up a lot of points, I think, potentially. And I agree with you that the Darnold to Tua, that seems pretty similar to me as well.
even the
Maybe Tua
matchups
gets a
kind of.
slight edge,
Yeah,
but I
maybe,
do think
but I think the
but I
Herbert
do
to
think I think
JJ
the
edge
Herbert
is
one to
bigger
JJ's
than
big.
yeah.
JJ's first game ever. It's a primetime
Uh
game
huh.
on Monday night. I don't know. I'm not expecting a massive, massive game out of
I'm
JJ.
not.
So I would give the edge to Jeremy with quarterbacks for sure this week.
When I look at the running backs, I also want to give Jeremy an edge. Obviously, you have Bijan versus the Buccaneers. Bijan's gonna ball out, but RJ Harvey is a question mark right now. As a Broncos fan, I'll tell you right now, RJ Harvey is gonna get designated touches, probably about 10 to 15 of them a game. How he performs on those touches is up to RJ Harvey. I can't. He's a rookie right now. He's looked good in practice with those touches, but I don't know how well he's going to perform. What I will say though is that he has been pretty bad in pass blocking over the whole course of this offseason, and nothing has changed coming into week one. So Dobbins is going to get a very, very good share of his reps because Sean Payton's offense requires a pass backing block. And that's a major reason why Bo Nix is very successful is because you have a pass backing block. So but Dobbins is going to get playing time. But I don't know how many touches Harvey's going to lose because of that. And I don't really like the
Yeah,
15 projection that he's getting. I think Harvey's going to be like a 11, 12 point per game guy without the touchdowns until he can kind of stand out. And I do think he's going to, over the course of the season, develop as like a 20 touch guy in that backfield, get the pass blocking in a little better. But week one, I don't know how I feel about RJ Harvey.
I agree with you there. And if there is one good thing about the Titans defense, it's their run
It's their run
defense.
defense.
I think 15's a bit of a heavy projection for Harvey in week one. And then going into Jeremy's running backs too, like Henry and Connor are guys that they're older veteran types. They're healthy right now. They're
Hmm.
probably going to start the season hot, if
Yeah.
anything. But I do like Jeremy's running backs, even though it's hard to pick. Bijan is probably going to have an amazing game against the Buccaneers. I feel like Bijan might have an
Yeah,
amazing
I
game.
do I do think that is gonna happen.
I think Connor should outscore Harvey by like, honestly a pretty significant amount in week one too, because I think the Cardinals will beat the Saints and they might run the ball in the second half a lot.
I do think that Connor's gonna have a solid game too. I completely agree with you there. I think I'm gonna give
I think
Jeremy
I'll
an
lean to
edge there
Jeremy's
on
running
both the
backs in
QBs
this.
and the running
Yeah.
backs. And I think that's gonna be the same exact case with me for the receivers as well. I mean, Obviously, that last flex spot's going to be kind of ETN versus Tucker Craft. So that you can kind of view how you want. I think that's actually pretty even in my opinion. But the rest of
Yeah.
their lineup is going to be those four receivers. Jettas, JSN, DJ Moore, Ibuka versus Amon-Ra, Tyreek, Mike Evans, Chris Olave. Starting off the rip,
It's tough.
it is definitely tough. When I look at those four receivers though, the main things I notice are obviously you have Evans versus Ibuka on each side of the
Yeah.
teams. How that averages out, I think Mike Evans plays better than Ibuka. But then it's
Yeah,
DJ Moore versus Chris
week one,
Olave.
it's hard. Yeah, week one, it's hard to say Ibuka's
Yeah,
gonna outscore Mike Evans in this type of game. I feel like they're both gonna do well,
I think Mike
but
Evans is gonna have a
I'll go
beast
to
of a
Evans
week
as
one.
well.
But I do think
I'll
that
go to
DJ
Evans as
Moore,
well
on
on
the
that.
other hand, is going to be better than Chris Olave. And
Yeah,
I think
that makes a
that,
lot of sense.
and
It's just a better offense
I
to
think
start off the
Ibuka is
year
going to
in.
play well to where Mike Evans isn't going to dominate him fantasy point wise, but I don't know if Olave is going to have a massive game. Just because I'm so curious about how that offense is going to work. Spencer Rattler's not a good quarterback. He's starter week one. He has shown last season that he can go a whole game and throw like 74 passing yards.
Yeah, and
So
the Cardinals defense is sneaky a
it's
little bit
sneaky
too.
good. Will Johnson's a beast. I think he's gonna
Yeah,
play very
I think
very
Olave
well.
could struggle a little bit as well.
And
He will have to pass if they're down, but
yeah, but
it's just not much
will they
upside there at
complete the
all.
passes though? Like just because they're
I don't
passing the
know.
ball, I
Yeah,
can't say they're gonna complete them.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Obviously, the top wide receiver is Amon-Ra versus Jettas. I think Jettas takes that week one versus the Bears. I think that the
They'll both be
Packers,
good.
obviously, Packers defense, I think if there's anything lacking in there, it's that secondary. So I think Amon-Ra could have a very, very good game. But I don't think it's going to be, if anything, it's an even kind of play there. But I think where, in my opinion, outside of the DJ Moore, where we're really going to see a big standout is going to be JSN Tyreek Hill. I think Tyreek Hill's coming into this matchup week one banged up. I think he isn't going to play full strength. I think he's going to be a very good player this season, but I don't think we're going to see the Tyreek Hill we all are used to week one. And that's not
Yeah,
a drag on him as a player
that
this
is
season. I
possible.
think that he's just dealing with an injury right now. And it's not a hamstring, it's an oblique. So it obviously isn't something you really want to see, but it's not as bad as a hamstring or a calf. It's not that soft tissue, man. It's not the
Yeah,
soft
I
tissue.
know.
So I do think that he'll be fine throughout the season, but I think a healthy JSN week one versus the 49ers, they obviously just lost Travarius Ward. They lost Hufanga in that secondary. I don't know how good that defense is right now. I think the Niners are a very overrated team. I think JSN's going to have a very, very big week one. And I think
Yeah,
that,
that's a tough matchup between Tyreek and JSN actually.
and I think
'Cause
that's
Tyreek Hill
where,
with the injury, that is weird, but he's gonna have big upside. There's so much stuff with Tyreek right now. He wasn't named a captain this
yeah,
year.
I did
Off
see
the
that.
field stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a chance that he comes out with a big game, just like shut out the haters. Well, that I
There's a
do think has
chance.
gives them some upside on the Panchez side of
I
things.
think it's a very close
But I do
matchup.
think JSN's safe. JSN is safe to have a good
JSN is
game
so
because he's
safe.
gonna have a good game.
Yeah. And obviously, the biggest thing in there is the major tight end difference from Zach Ertz to Trey McBride. But when I look at
Yeah.
that, in my opinion, I don't think that's as massive as, say, Kittle to Okonkwo. Because Kittle's coming into that as the number one option in that offense, potentially. And I do think that Kittle is going to be a number one option over Ricky Pearsall week one if Juwan doesn't play. I think Kittle touches the ball more. And I think that Zach Ertz is better than what Okonkwo is. We saw what happened with Zach Ertz last year. He's Jaden Daniels loves giving Zach Ertz the ball. He's a trusted player for him in that short range, tight end premium. If he gets 4 catches, that's I think what 6 points. It's an extra. That's 6 points
Yeah.
right there. He gets 2 extra points off of that. If he gets 4 catches a game for 6 points, and he puts up 4 catches, 40 yards, and that's 10 points right there, sneaking a touchdown. That's not a great game, but he's sneakily putting up 16 fantasy points right there. And that's what the big thing about Zach Ertz was last year. And Trey McBride, obviously, he is not the red zone guy for them. They don't like to give him the ball in the red zone. And it's obviously a joke on Trey McBride doesn't score a lot of touchdowns, but I think that's more on the fact that their offensive system doesn't focus Trey McBride in the tight end position when they're in the red zone. I think when they're in the red
They're
zone,
gonna run it.
they like to run the ball. They like to option it. They like to throw to Marvin Harrison in a fade route or over the middle of the field. Go throw in deep to Michael Wilson, tall guy, go up and get it. Like, as much as I like Trey McBride, he's more of that middle of the field guy, and I think that's where he excels. And I'm as much as there's obviously going to be more touchdowns out of him this year, I don't think that you can expect Trey McBride to come into this season and have like 8 touchdowns. So I do
Yeah,
think
and
Trey
it
Mc,
just especially in week one, it's just
yeah,
nerve-wracking against going against the Saints where they should dominate.
he
So they
could
might not throw as much anyway.
exactly.
Like
They
he,
might
he
come out 21-0 them if Trey McBride doesn't touch the ball at 21-0. Who says he's going to touch the ball the rest of the game?
Yeah, I agree with you definitely. This tight end swing is supposed to be huge for Panchez's team, and it will be most
It
weeks,
will be
especially when he's going against a team like Ertz. But in this 1 week sample, it's not going to be as big, especially as big as the Kittle to
because I
Chuka
do think
Conquo
that the
thing.
Cardinals are going to blow out the Saints this week.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So I feel like, with that being said, I'll probably take Jeremy, even though ESPN doesn't like him here. I think I would take Jeremy to win week one.
I you see this is really hard for me. As much as I like Jeremy's team, I still like it is hard because I do think that Jeremy has the positional advantage in a lot of areas. But when I look at Panchez's team, I do think though that there's still a chance they not easily win this game. There's still a chance they could win this game.
They
And
definitely can. They have a lot of upside. There's this lineup has so much upside in
I know
general.
there's so much
Between a guy
upside.
like Evans, Tyreek Hill, Amon-Ra, and
I
Bijan,
do
like those
think
four
I'm
guys
gonna
could put
have
up
to agree.
massive games.
I do think I am gonna agree when it comes down to it that I'm gonna pick Jeremy week one. And I think for me it boils down to JJ McCarthy not playing an NFL snap yet versus the Bears, who have put a lot of money into that defense. They put a lot of money into the team overall, and they're going to want to come out week one, and they've had a lot of problems. They want to have a big win. And if they let JJ McCarthy come out week one as a rookie and dice him up, it's not a good look, especially the Caleb versus JJ talks. It's not going to look good.
Yeah,
So I think that the Bears have something to prove week one. I think it's not going to be good for JJ McCarthy, but I think this is going to be a very, very close matchup where I do think Jeremy's going to win, though.
yeah. But between the JJ being a rookie first game and also
And
RJ
Harvey,
Harvey,
yeah, and Harvey.
these are two guys that I just, even more so than Jake's guys, I feel like I want to see a little bit more before I say that they're going to be guaranteed fantasy studs.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little nervous to pick Panchez's team in week one. I do think they have a higher upside team, but I'll say that I think Jeremy's floor is much safer in week one. I'll go with Jeremy.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to agree with you there. So we
All
have
right.
pretty much the same kind of thoughts so far throughout the whole thing, just kind of switching up there with the Riley Duck game. But
Yeah.
into our last matchup, it's obviously going to be me versus Makoff. So you can have center stage here. So let's hear what you think,
Yeah.
week one.
I mean, I guess
Very
we'll start
close
on Makov's
projection.
side of
Very close
things.
projection. I think this might be the
The
closest
projection's
projection.
extremely close. It actually, I think, throughout all of
I think
these,
it is the
is the
closest
closest.
projection. Yeah.
So, the closest matchup of the week, according to ESPN. And I do think it's a close matchup in general. I think through Makov's lineup, he has a lot of reliance on Drake May and Penix to have good games. And I do love the matchups against the Raiders and the Buccaneers for
Yeah.
them
Mm-hmm.
in week one. Those are some big time matchups for them that, even though I don't love the QB room in general, I do think this week one they could put up good points. Even though they're younger guys, they might start off the season hot. I think Gibbs and Kamara is going to start off the season hot as well. So that's a lot of firepower if you continue with Gibbs, Kamara, and then Puka and Lad is a great receiving core for him. The Jake Ferguson, I'm not honestly too high on. I think they're going to use CD and they're going to use Pickens, and I think Jake Ferguson is going to struggle to have a lot of points every week.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Ferguson is not the strongest tight end. I definitely give the edge to Evan Ingram for Lawson's side. because I think Evan Ingram could have a big game this game, and just to start off I think he's going to start off having a great season. So I think he's going to start off in week 1 with Evan Ingram having a big week. But I mean, Lawson having T. Higgins and Terry McLaurin in the flex spots is big. That's huge for him. T. Higgins and McLaurin, even against DK and Rome, which are solid pieces too. But I have to go with T. Higgins and McLaurin to have bigger weeks. DK against the Jets, I think will do well, but I just don't think it's going to be a high scoring game in general. I think DK will still have a good game. And then Rome is like, he's supposed to have a big breakout, but it's still the first game. I think he'll start off easing into it, but I think he'll have a solid day. But I think Higgins and McLaurin could have like massive days. So I think I do like that flex. I do like the flexes for Lawson a lot. Even though Jaden Higgins in week 1 is a bit of a concern. Like that's a big time risk to start a guy who's supposed to be probably the wide receiver 3 on opening day, but there's not too many other options I'd say for Lawson, so you might have to roll with it because their upside is there with him. I think Tyron Tracy is a big time uh I think he's a big upgrade over Higgins for week 1, I'd say. Like that's not that close either. So in reality, the flexes are closer than it looks because even though Higgins and McLaurin I think will have big days, but this is the best quarterback room in this league, Lamar and Kyler. I still think they'll have big time games. I think you need a lot out of Lamar in that game. You got to hope that Bills Ravens game is a high scoring like affair that it should be. But I think Lamar is going to have to come in clutch for you this week. Because Kyler, with that matchup, we've been talking about the Cardinals Saints matchup, it might not be the highest scoring game. They might just dominate. And that also affects Marvin Harrison. So that is a little rough, I'd say, but I do really like Pickens as well to have a good game. And then Aaron Jones, I think will be a solid play. And Genti, I like. I think Genti will start the season good. I do think it's a tough call. I think I would lean towards Makoff's side with the upside here, just because I think Gibbs Kamara should have a lot of upside in week 1. And I do think that Puka and Lad is a safer floor for sure than having Marvin Harrison and George Pickens in there. Even though I do really love the Higgins and McLaurin swing, that's where it's going to come down to. If Higgins and McLaurin can make enough of a difference against DK and Rome, and as well as obviously the Lamar and Kyler have to have big time games, which if Penix and Drake may have good days, I think it'll be tough. I don't know. To make my pick for this game, it's tough to pick against that QB duo is the issue here. Like I really like Makov's core, but I know your QB duo of Lamar and Kyler is big time.
I think
So
one
it's
of
hard to pick against that.
I think one of my biggest things when I look at this matchup is it's definitely the flexes when it comes down to it. It's how good is Tyrone Tracy gonna play? How good is DK gonna do versus Sauce Gardner? How big of a role
Yeah.
is Jaden Higgins gonna have week 1? How healthy is Terry McLaurin gonna come in week 1? I do kind of agree with you there where I think I have a big tight end swing this week where he probably has a bit of the edge in the receivers and running backs, where I probably have a bit of the edge in the quarterbacks, where that kind of evens out. Um,
And the tight end, I think
I
too.
do think that this the tight end, the quarterback versus running back receiver swing, I think will even itself out to where it's gonna come down to these flexes, and it's gonna come down to can T Higgins have a big game, can McLaurin have a big game, can Jane Higgins have a big game, or will DK, Roman, Tracy have big games for Makoff? I think that's really what
Yeah.
it boils down
That,
to.
that's what it is. Like I really like Higgins and McLaurin. I think is a big time. I think that's those two guys are kind of a significant amount better than DK and Rome for the week. But the Higgins to Tracy one is scaring me a little bit. I do think Tracy will have a good start to the season, and it's just Aiden Higgins. We're talking about these rookies to start off,
Yeah.
especially we just don't know his role. Even though it should be a high scoring game, I just don't know what his role is gonna be. That is scaring me a little bit for week 1. It's
No,
scaring me a
I
little bit for week
definitely
1
agree. It's definitely a risk week 1. I
because
personally
it
don't know
could.
how he's gonna play.
I mean, if he starts off hot, like he could be a huge contributor the whole season. I just don't know how it's gonna end up happening week 1. I think I would go, honestly, I think even though I do love, I don't know, it's hard to pick it. I think I'm gonna lean towards Makoff slightly because I like Gibbs and Kamara this week because I think the Saints will be down. They're gonna just dump it to Kamara all day long.
Yeah,
So that's where it's like tough for me. And the QB matchup, even though you have such a big
I
advantage,
think he's got it this week
similarly
though. I
sim-
think the
similarly
Saints.
to what we were talking about
Yeah,
with the like Trey McBride to Ertz thing, that like it's not gonna be as big an advantage as I normally think it would be. That
yeah. I don't think that
I
my
think May and
QBs are
Penix
gonna
will
come
play at
in
least
this week as
solid
big.
enough.
I think
So that's
that.
why I think I'll lean
Yeah,
towards Makoff, but I think it's tough. Like I think this would be a very
I
close
think this is
game.
going to be extremely close. I think that if there's any one player on either side that has a massive game, it could completely swing things. If Gibbs come out here and
Yes,
has 120 total yards and 2 touchdowns, there might not be a chance for me to come back. But if Genty comes out week 1 and has 120 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Pickens has 2 touchdowns, and Lad McConkey puts up 4 catches for 60 yards, who knows if Makoff could come back versus me at that point.
definitely. I agree with you. I think like looking at guys that could have massive days, I think T. Higgins and Pickens, I think, are the two most likely to have like blow up games in week one.
I think Evan Ingram
I think the
too.
Bengals will start off hot. Yes, that's a good pick too. I think Evan Ingram to Jake Ferguson's like it's a big difference, honestly, for week one, in my opinion. But I do think Pickens, like, he could score like a lot of points in garbage time if they're
Yeah.
down,
I
that
don't
sort of
think
thing.
that Makoff has some guys like that this week per se that I would say have massive blow up potential, but I think he's got a lot of guys with a lot safer of a floor this week that it's
Yeah,
going to
that's
benefit
kind
him. I
of
mean, it's hard to bet
that's
against Gibbs, Kamara, Nakua, and McConkey. I mean, he's got a very, very good core
yeah.
on him. It's going to be hard to beat him. I do think it's
In
going to be
week
very close,
one,
though.
yeah, in week one, like I've been kind of leaning towards the safer floor teams because we just don't know what the upside's gonna look like
Yeah.
yet, and we don't know what the roles are fully. And I do think Gibbs and Kamara, at least them two themselves, have massive upside for the week. Like a guy like Genti, I think will have big games throughout the whole season. But week one, the Patriots for some reason
It'd be
they like
hypocritical
know
for
how to
me to come
contain
up here.
guys.
Yeah, it'd be hypocritical for us to come up here and talk, say that Hunter and JJ and all these guys aren't going to play as well, and then say that Genty and Higgins are going to have good weeks. And that's not to say that, like you said, you think Travis Hunter could have a good week. We think Genty could have a good week. That's not to say that these rookies aren't going to come out of the gate week one, but it's hard to put your faith into some rookies week one, especially fantasy wise, when you don't know a single statistic on their usage or what they do beside a couple preseason plays.
Yeah, I mean, like in regard to Genti, I mean, I love the pick, and I think he'll be great this season. And I do think he's gonna have a significant role. Like I think he'll have probably close to 20 touches in this game. I think he'll probably have like that safe sort of like 15 to 20 points. I just don't think he has like the boom of like a 30-point game
Mm-hmm.
that Gibbs or even Kamara might do in week one.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Kamara's always been known for those big boom
So
games.
I will slightly lean to Makoff's side for week one.
I
I
don't
think
hate
it's
it.
gonna be very close.
I think it's definitely
I think it'll be very
possible.
close.
It's a lot. I think
It's
it's
a
a little
big thing with
closer
the Tyler
than
thing.
you and Levitz, in my opinion. Again,
Well,
not to say
hopefully.
that
I
Levitz
really
isn't going
hope
to be
so.
close. I still think that game could be potentially close. But
I hope so, yeah.
to wrap things up, that was our week one schedule predictions on all the matchups. Just to run it back so everyone can kind of remember, we both think Ant is going to win week one. We both think Prince is going to win week one. I think that Tyler's going to win his matchup. He thinks Makoff is going to win our matchup. I think Riley's going to win his matchup. He thinks Duck is going to win their matchup. And we both think that Jeremy is going to win his matchup.
Wow,
So
okay. So we might have just jinxed a couple teams
we're
here.
definitely a little similar here with our picks,
We might
but
have jinxed a couple teams.
we'll
We
see
both took
though.
Jeremy, we both took
Jeremy,
Prince and
Prince, and
Anthony, right?
Jeremy, Prince, and Ant. Yeah, those are our.
We had three the same,
That's who we
and
think.
then
The rest are. Obviously, you think
we're
you're gonna
different
win,
slash we didn't
probably.
even pick.
Yeah. But
You know.
we're pretty similar for the most part.
But we'll see. I'm very curious to see how this turns
Yeah.
out actually, and I hope we continue to do this and go through the records because
Yeah, we
I'm very curious
definitely
what our
will.
prediction records could be
Next
throughout the
next
year. Like
Tuesday,
that's
we're
gonna
gonna
be
have to
really
look and
cool.
see how we did. How we did.
Yeah, I'm very curious.
But Thank you guys for watching this. I hope you guys enjoyed. Sorry for a little bit of the technical difficulties and cuts
Yeah,
as you were
that's on me
watching
for
this.
sure.
Well, it's all gonna be cut out and everything, so it's gonna look a lot cleaner. You wouldn't even have probably expected much of it. But thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next Tuesday.
You guys.